about. Trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist. Am I worth anything or just a scout? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
That was great. Sounds Watts with Outside on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Preston, and my partner in crime, Long Island raised, Elm City made, Mr. EZ BlueZ. EZ BlueZ, you're always better with introductions more than me. Who do we have with us again on the broadcast today?
'Tis the time of year where there is a resolution that must be made and kept to for at least a day and a half. And for that, it is super important. It is the time of year where we have to look at everything and why are we grateful? We had a thankful, we had a grateful, but why? And are we? It is a journey, it is a quest, it is a way to fine-tune the attitude to make the gratitude the platitude. I want you to put your hands together for the amazing, the fantastic, the phenomenal James in the building today. Welcome.
What's up? I like the dramatic pause. That was a good one.
Thank you.
You held it. You held it good.
Yeah, you did.
I wanted to think that I was frozen. I was like, I want them to think that the screen is frozen for a second.
What's going on, boys?
How are you?
Going great. It's going great. To kick this off, let's just be blunt, man. What is new with you and what's new with your vision? Because you are thinking 10 years from now. You think longevity. So this is not the brand new James. This is James. So
yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on. I just recently got the paperwork from the United States government for the trademark Gratitude Life.
Awesome.
So and I officially own that trademark. And I've been working on, just handing out shirts. I just got the hats. I've been working on getting the hats out there. I've been bartering them, hats and shirts for gratitude videos. Because really this venture is not really about money. I mean, at some point I would like it to become a company and be able to make money so that I can funnel that money back to mental health services, addiction recovery, and just, try to put money back into arenas that I think would help people, because I'm on a lot of different pages on Facebook. I'm on this dads group, and I see a lot of just dads struggling, man, just mental health super low for all different reasons. Mm-hmm. And actually, the other day, I had to sit down and process. I was like, man, almost every one of these posts, these guys, we're just struggling, man. Everybody's putting on a face and getting in the game, but behind that face, there's a lot of people struggling. And then, it's super important to have people I think of myself as being really real. I struggle, man. Mm-hmm. The gratitude life is not something where it's I do this thing that nobody else can do. Is really to understand that, we're all real humans. This is something that I use as a foundation, and I try to focus on every single day to ground myself and get myself back out there, work through whatever's going on in my personal life or professional life. So, really, I'm working on that. I'm working on, I'm at the giving out my mixtape out of my trunk stage right now.
Yes.
Right.
I'm at that guerrilla marketing.
Yep. I'm in that super organic beginning phase of this whole thing. And I'm going to keep putting the work in and keep, trying different things. I'm not a social media guru by any means. I just got my, my Instagram page, kind of up and running. I haven't used in a long time. So I'm just getting the videos from people, trying to get the positivity out there, trying to get the hats out there and the logo out there, and just have people start seeing it. And I have had people, just randomly come up to me. They read the back of the shirt where it says, "What are you grateful for today?" And I've had people just randomly walking up to me and telling me what they're grateful for. And that's really what I was going for, right? I wanted it to be organic. A lot of the time you're walking behind people, and I wanted them to see that. And I wanted people to start thinking about, what am I grateful for? And one of the tools that we use, even with our people, as a manager and leader in the solar industry, is, if you ask somebody how they're doing today, they'll just give you the most basic answer ever, because that's how our brains are trained, right? So say, hey, what's going on in your life? Oh, it's going great. Okay, cool. And then we always do this thing where we say, okay, tell me more. Tell me more. Tell me more. Ask 3 times to tell me more, because there's deeper levels, but nobody will go to those deeper levels if you don't just ask for more, right? Then you get to well, this is really what's going on, right? And that's where the gratitude life is. That's where you can plug it in and try to work on it. So yeah, and I'm working on that. I'm actually working on something cool. We've been flipping houses, and part of that is we're working with this thing called Wings of Hope. So they're, those are sober homes.
Nice.
And so, in this year, we're hoping to partner with them. We're still working that out. We just had a dinner the other night. And so obviously, as you guys know, I was a heroin addict for a long time. I was a drug addict for about 15, 17 years. And I struggled through many different drug addictions, but that was because of my mental health. Right. So if I can make money and by giving back, that's always going to supersede money itself for me. Like if somebody says, hey, you can make $1 million doing this, or you can make $300,000, but you're going to help people, I'm in at 300.
Right.
Because the impact is going to far exceed any of the money. And really money is just a tool for me to use so that I can give back, so this gratitude life thing, I mean, I've spent my personal money on it. I haven't made $1 off of this. I've lost money to do it.
Right.
Do you feel when it comes to addicts and addiction, do you feel the problem is continued to be ignored, or do you feel people are more out there for addicts, reaching out to them?
Yeah, man. I mean, obviously, I'm not in that scene anymore, but what I have seen is that it's evolved into there's all these other drugs now, and they're more dangerous, it's getting worse and spreading. It's actually really affecting, women now too. There's a huge outcry for, women's sober homes. There's not as many of those as there are for men. Yeah, man, it's hard to say. I mean, a lot of people just think that they're just bad choices.
Right.
And I mean, yeah, to a point, but I mean, there's a deep underlying mental health problem there.
Agreed.
Because when my mental health got right, I was able to get clean real fast.
Right.
And that came from eliminating people, places, things, and then being in a different circle. When I got to Trinity Solar, I was in a circle of people that had struggled with these things or cared about me and gave me opportunity and didn't look down on me. And I hadn't had a circle like that. As soon as I had that circle, it didn't take long before I made the choice, to get clean. And it's just like anything else. It's hard work. It's not easy. And I think that we can all agree mental health is that, there's a lot of mental health stuff going on.
Of course.
For a multitude of things, the chemicals and stuff in our foods, the constant media barrages, social media. I mean, there's so many more things these days than there ever was before that can erode your mental health. I mean, I struggled with it during the pandemic and I didn't even know. The constant barrage of news things about the pandemic is just constantly wore me down. And I didn't even realize it until one day I passed out and hit my face on the ground. And so then I had to take a step back and I started realizing like I'm getting subconsciously eroded by all these things that I'm taking in. I got to be much more conscious. So there's I don't know if you guys know who Dr. Amen is, but he's the foremost authority on ADHD and brain chemistry and stuff like that. And
I never knew that.
Yeah. So he talks about a thing called ants, which are automatic negative thoughts. And, I've drawn the analogy that like, look, if there's ants around you and you could just step on one or two or three, but let's say you stepped on a huge anthill in Africa where there's billions of ants in one colony and you stepped and fell into it, you'd be in big trouble.
Yeah, you're done.
You're in deep shit. And that's what happens to our brain. And if we let that subconscious thing happen to you, right? And you don't do what I call acts, active conscious thoughts to subvert that from happening to you, that's how your mental health gets eroded because your subconscious is, hardwired to tell you bad things and keep you safe. And, it's a daily struggle and you got to be conscious of it. And, negativity starts to happen and that chemical release comes, you got to be conscious and release that positive chemical. And that's part of being, where gratitude comes in. If you're grateful, you can instantly ground yourself away from your subconscious thoughts.
You're changing lives every day. What was your best come around story that you saw from somebody, from a perspective, client, or even someone within your team?
Yeah, man. I mean, there's a lot of people that I've seen change their lives. I mean, I got guys that they're fighting cancer and they're doing one of the hardest jobs. I mean, what we do is like a 2% position, knocking doors, retail, sales. And he's just like, listen, man, I got a kid and I got to take care of my family and myself. And he just gets up and gets back in the fight. And that's where I'm just like, look at at how grateful he is for the opportunity that he's willing to, face chemo and face cancer. And at the same time, go out and still go to work. Mm-hmm. Right. So, our place is littered with stories like that. Or, people come here and they just want a second chance and then they make something special out of it. So, I'm always looking for those stories or looking for those people that somebody's like, yeah, I'm not going to hire that person.
Right.
I'm going to hire that person. And I'm going to try to make it an amazing story, so that later on we can look back at it,
Right.
2024 going into 2025. Why is knocking doors still essential when it comes to sales? When you can just talk to them on the phone or direct message, through whatever website that we have nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, sales evolves, and with all the new tools that we have, but community building, like getting your hands dirty and getting out in the community, will never not be an effective method. Now, there's a difference between knocking doors as a salesperson and knocking doors as a professional. And our people are taught to go out there and leave the community better than they found them, and to be respectful and to do it correctly and make sure you have permits and do all the things. So, Trinity Solar in 2016 has 300-400 employees, makes like $60 million a year. 2024, we have over 3,000 employees. We're the largest private solar company in the country. So
that's awesome.
That came from us hitting the doors, going out in the community, hiring good people. We didn't go hire the best salespeople. We went and hired the best people. So door to door will always be a tool to use for those that can do it professionally. John F. Kennedy knocked doors when he became the president of the United States.
This is true.
You go look at any billionaires. Mark Cuban said knocking doors. You can get a 4-year communications degree that you can't get at Harvard. You can't get a communications degree sitting in a classroom.
No.
Like, you want to communicate? Go knock on somebody's door who doesn't know you're coming. We'll see how good you communicate, because there's a lot of psychology embedded in this.
Oh yeah.
Right. And a lot of tools embedded in this, right? So it's not just words. Knocking doors is 93% what you do. 7% of what you say. It's the subconscious thing, is subliminal messaging and all the different movements that you do and how you position yourself and where you stand, and how you talk on downturn, upturn, right? So there's a whole bunch of different stuff, to learn from doing it. So we'll always do door to door. We'll always be out there. A lot of states have been pushing back, or town, they're like, they don't want door to door.
They are. I didn't know that.
Yeah, especially here in Connecticut. And
wow, okay.
My position on that is very simple. You let politicians knock on doors, okay?
Yeah.
If politicians are allowed to knock on doors and everybody else, so you stop them from knocking doors, because you're telling me you don't want salespeople knocking doors, because there could be misinformation. Well, if you're letting politicians knock doors, and I got bad news for you, there's a lot of
misinformation. Yeah.
Right.
Now you're speaking gospel. You are
speaking
gospel,
right?
Speaking gospel.
So we're always going to fight for the right to go out in the community and provide support and help. And some people don't like it. I'm on every town page. I police them for us, and I always want to make sure that we leave people better than we found them. So if they get frustrated, I jump in and I mitigate those situations, and I help them understand why we're out there and what we're doing, and that we're not out there to be disrespectful or bother them, or So it's important to me that we do door to door, but we do it right, and that we're grateful for the opportunity to do it, because most people can't do it.
And that's the key, and that's something that I really wanted to hammer home, and that's how the gratitude, life is so important, is to how you maintain that gratitude in the darkest moments. I mean, I've done door to door and had a shotgun pulled on me.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So, like, when I tell you, you get to see the underbelly of society, homie. You get to see the underbelly.
How come that wasn't on the album?
How come Will isn't on the album?
Someone putting a shotgun on you when you. Door to door. I never heard about
because I haven't released the comedy album yet. I don't.
He's working on it. That was a prelude.
God, bro. I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, dude. I've had old men come to the window just to
James, that happened to you?
Oh yeah, it's all
Oh
types
my
of
God!
Yeah.
grown man open the door with no clothes on,
Yeah,
like
just
weird.
swinging, and you're like, part of you is like, I can't believe this is happening. The other part of you is like, I can't believe how much he loves himself. Like he's so much more secure than I ever will be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you have to start questioning yourself and your own securities.
And then the next day, Easy shows up with no clothes on and knocks on his door.
Exactly. Hello. Since we're
I just wanted to match you. Listen, man, you see a lot of crazy stuff in door to door, and that's where you see humanity for what it is, because you catch somebody in the middle of life.
Right? Yeah, true.
They're not aware or prepared, and this is what we try to teach our people: is the hardest part about knocking doors is not taking things personally, right? It's
true.
Understanding that if I knock on Preston's door right now, he doesn't know that I'm coming there.
Right.
So he's not sitting in his house going, when James gets here in 11 minutes and knocks on my door, I'm going to be rude to him. Right. So I got to get my people to understand, it's like, hey, you're like, in this world, a really special tool to understand is you're not that special.
Yes.
Okay? You're not that special. Nobody is sitting in their home right now mad at you that you're going to knock on their door. It has nothing to do with you. That's the separation of somebody who can do door to door professionally for a long period of time, and a person that flames out real fast because if you download it you download it personally, right? It stacks up on top of your head, and you just can't do it anymore, right?
It destroys you. It absolutely destroys you.
Right. Me, I'll be out there with one earbud in, listening to music, walk up to hit my earbud, knock on the door, do my pitch. This person tells me to F off and closes the door in my face. I put my earbud right back on and move on to the next house. He's not saying F off to me. He's not mad at me. It has nothing to do with me personally. Right. And once you can understand that, you can do it, and you can do it at a high level, and you can do it for long, sustainable periods of time. There's a lot of door-to-door experts in this world. There's not a lot of door-to-door experts in this world. There's a lot of posers on a lot of threads, right? These guys, but there's very few that have done it at a long, sustainable amount of time. We'll always do door-to-door. People always fight to get us off the doors. People always say things like, if I wanted solar, then I would just come to you. Yeah. Okay. Well, guys, listen, most people never get help for themselves for anything if somebody doesn't intervene.
Exactly.
Right. That's why we're coming to you, because if you knew what we could do to help you, you're right, you would come to us, but you don't know. So we need to come to you. And the numbers speak louder than the words. Right. I have the data that backs up the second that we went out in the community and started talking to humans, changed the trajectory of this company.
Right.
Right. We'll always be doing that. Yeah.
What are ways I could be approachable as a person?
What are ways that you could be approachable as a person? How do you mean?
More approachable. Because I know you speak to people every day, like on the phone. And a lot of people take things a little bit differently. It's not really, when it comes to sensitivity, it could be just you itself. Maybe you said something the wrong way. What if you want to talk to somebody like about a networking deal that can change both of your lives? Like, what if you do that one wrong move when speaking accidentally? You know what I'm saying? I think we do a lot of stuff accidentally that we don't mean to within communication that can just lead into something that shouldn't even happen in the first place. That's what I mean by approachable.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, obviously it's something that's, 65% of the ability to get somebody to listen to you, whether it's a TED talk or a sales pitch or even this podcast, right?
Right.
It's your ability to create an emotional connection with your audience, and they see you as a human being. So there's a core principle of that's called first seek to understand and then seek to be understood.
Right.
It is, if I want to have people communicate with me and be more approachable, then I need to care more about their stuff initially than I do about my stuff.
Right.
Right. So when I'm walking up to somebody, let's say we're in Home Depot and doing retail, right? Our people are taught they didn't leave their house to go to Home Depot to hear a pitch for solar.
No doubt.
They were there to get a tool or whatever it is that they need, right? So that's what they're focused on. So my first thing when I walk up to them, if it's, hey man, about my pitch, they're just like, get out of here, man. Get out. I don't have time for this, right? Like, I got 20 minutes and I got to make this thing happen. So I'm going to walk up to them and say, hey man, what are you working on?
Right.
Oh, yeah, I'm working on this thing. I was like, okay, cool. Do you know where it is? You need help finding it? And I'm going to focus on their thing first.
Right.
Two things. I'm always thinking in two roads, genuine and savvy. It's genuine in the fact that I care about other people and I want to help these people. but it's savvy in the fact that I know that if I care about these people, that I can get the thing done that I want to happen.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I want to happen does help them, but it also helps my family and it helps my company. And there's a chain reaction that happens, right? So I'm always balancing that game of savvy and genuine. It's genuine. I want to help you. It's savvy in the fact that I know if I do, then I'm going to get the thing that I want. So I'm going to use both of those things to my advantage. And so, yeah, just, if you want people to be more approachable, I think it comes down to you. You can't change other people's approachability, but it's how you approach them and how you present yourself to them. So like when I go to somebody's house for solar, I don't even talk about solar at all for 15, 20 minutes. Most of the time I just sit there and I hang out with them. I get to know them. We talk about things. I look around, I draw parallels and connections.
Mm-hmm.
I show them my scars from being a heroin addict. I talk to them about my journey. They see me as a human being now instead of a salesperson. We make an emotional connection.
Kind of like we're doing on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. So I kind of get what you're saying.
Yes. So yeah, that's what I would say. I would say if you want other people to be approachable, it's how you approach them, and just approach them, seeking to understand them first instead of worrying about what you're doing, and then they'll care about yours. Because then if you're in there and I focus on what you're trying to do and you tell me what you're looking for and I help you find it, you thought it was going to take 30 minutes. Now it takes 6 minutes. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, by the way, easy. So actually, I'm working on the Green Communities Project for Connecticut. About that program before. They're gonna give me the time of day now.
Yeah,
because I just bought 23 minutes, right? They thought it was going to take 30. It only took 7. Now they're not under the pressure of how long is this going to take. Oh, it's going to be a pain in the butt to find the thing I'm looking for, right? And I help them. Now they want to reciprocate. It's natural, right? Reciprocation is natural. You help somebody, they want to help you. Almost everybody is like that, right? So yeah, I mean that's what I would say to that, man. Is how can you be more approachable? It's how you approach people, because you don't know who you're approaching. But if you always first seek to understand them, 90% of the time you can make a connection with them.
I'm going 180. What's the worst body language to have as a salesman?
Yeah, the when you're defeated looking, right? Your shoulders are kind of hunched down. When you're not getting where you want to go. I just had somebody tell me recently, like I just signed up somebody and he met with somebody else that used to work here. And he was like, yeah, as soon as I said I wasn't signing anything today, his entire body language just shut down. Right. So the worst thing you can do, like when you're doing it, is somebody asks you a question you don't know the answer to, and you look like a deer in the headlights, right? Or you don't get the answer that you want. So but a lot of it, again, is 93% of what you do. And we give off a frequency, right? So let's say, salespeople mostly get bad rap. Why? Because they're only in it for the money and they want to sell something and they're focused on how can I make money off this person? I don't focus on that, right? If you go in somebody's house and you're all about the money, you're going to emit a frequency of that without even, it doesn't matter what you say. The frequency is being, projected over to the other people. There's an energy happening, and that energy exchange makes the other person uncomfortable, right? They're like, I don't know, something seems off, right? Where when I'm emitting a frequency of like, yeah, man, I don't care if you get solar or you don't. And I'm the one who gets paid for it. And I still don't care if you do it. What I care about is that I provide the proper information and I help your family. And if I do my job correctly, then I will get paid.
Right.
I'm not there to get paid. Right. I'm there to help somebody, genuine, savvy. I'll get paid. The other guy's there to get paid. Right. So yeah, body language is huge. Like, when you're on the doors, if you walk up to somebody's door and you knock on it and you stand squared up facing the door, and then an 80-year-old lady who's 4'11" opens that door, you're going to be intimidating her.
Very intimidating.
Right? So what you do is you back yourself down about 3 steps away and you turn yourself sideways, which makes you look smaller.
Yep, get as small as possible.
Right, just like animals do these things in the wild, right? They make themselves look bigger or whatever it is they want to do, right? To project an image, right? So yeah, there's all these little tools that you can use. But yeah, the worst body language is when you advertise that you're like you're defeated or you don't know the answer or whatever it is. Versus me, if I don't know the answer, I'm like, that's a great question, and I'm a professional at this, and I don't know the answer to it. You want to know what I do know though? Somebody who does. Professionals don't know the answer to everything. They know somebody that does know the answer to everything.
I like that.
And when you're
I know Google. I know Google's out there. Google's
you got right. You got Google. You got if somebody asks me a question about a battery, I don't know. I know who to go to in my company. If somebody asks me about a contract question, I don't know. I know the person that knows the answer to it, right? Or yes, I can Google it. There's a whole bunch of things, but telling somebody to their face, hey, look, I'm a professional at this and I don't know the answer to that. That's real and raw and honest, right? And they're not looking at me like a salesperson. What's a salesperson going to do? They're going to make up an answer.
They're going to BS you.
It's not going to be very confident when they make it up, and it's going to sound like BS, and you're going to advertise that you're defeated, and you're not going to get that deal because they don't trust you, right? Because you made up the answer, and they know you made up the answer.
No, definitely.
Easy, how you feel about this? I'm inspired.
I'm loving all this, but the real key is how this all breaks down to the gratitude life.
Yep.
You know, how is this a representation? You're showing us how this works in the wild. But I really want to get back into this program itself because it is a beautiful program. It is a program that, again, you're out there to help, but there is the savvy aspect in there as well. And I really want to focus on that right now. I can sit here and pick your brain about the proper sales techniques all day long,
of course,
because we can have those type of conversations. But what's really super important is gratitude life.
Yeah.
What does it mean, and what does it truly mean to you as you move forward in this existence, and how are you applying it to that everyday life, that salesman life that is so interesting?
Yeah. So an attitude of gratitude determines longitude and latitude, right? Where I'm going to fly in this lifetime is going to be guided by this. It's like a GPS, right? And so it's a fundamental core thing that I do every day. And the goal of it is, if I can get more people thinking about what they're grateful for every single day, they're going to be much happier in the wild that you're talking about, right? Like, they're going to be different people because we actually took the time to register what we're grateful for. Without calling out certain situations across the world, there's a lot of stuff going on right now that you can look at and say, oh my God, I can't believe that's happening to somebody. And the fact that we're waking up in the morning, not in that situation, even though it sounds cliche. You know what the problem with things are? Is that things that are cliche are usually the best answers. and people can't download that, right? They watch a motivational video and they're like, cliche, heard that before. It's like, yeah, the problem is you heard it, but you didn't download and actually put the principles in place. That's what I say to you. I don't read a cliche. I'm actually listening, right? And I'm downloading what this person's talking about. Like, if Gary Vaynerchuk is talking about something, I'm listening to what he's saying because he has a $500 million media company. He has the ability to reach a bunch of people and spread positivity and gratitude because of his platform.
Right.
He said something amazing once on a 30-second clip. The guy said, I want you to scream in my face something motivational or something. And Gary said, I'm not going to do that. And he said, why not? He said, you want me to fix your sink, but I need you to fix your well. It's not the problem is not where the water's coming out. It's the problem is from where the water's coming from, right? And if my well can be grateful and be gratitude, like I could wake up in the morning and go, here's a list of all my problems. And look how big my list of amazing stuff is and how many blessings I have.
Right.
Well, once I download that, then I'm going to approach that day a lot differently than if I face it with my struggles, right? Or with my, whiny complaining. Listen, some people aren't going to like this. There's a lot of whining and complaining going on.
There is, and there's a lot of, and look, we're also not devaluing the importance of whining and complaining, because there's a lot of stuff that's going on in life that can make people whine and complain. We're not calling you weak. We're not calling it anything like that. Don't take this the wrong way.
Absolutely
We're just saying that as you are going through the hard stuff, as it is getting difficult, as the world is closing around you, be grateful, not for anything else other than you, other than the fact you're there to experience it. I've experienced some of the darkest in my life, especially these past couple of weeks. But you want to know something? I have learned to be grateful for the time that I've had, than to mourn the time that I'm not going to have moving forward. And that is a key thing.
Right. So that's a process, right? So I agree with you. It's whine, man. I whine every morning when I get up to myself. Complain. I complain to myself. But after you're done with that, download the gratitude, because that's how you get past it and fight the day, because the days are not going to get easier. Life is not getting easier. This world is not getting easier. Mental health is not getting easier. So we just got to do a better job at pivoting after, right? One of the tools that I use, I don't know how much you guys love this, but sarcasm is one of the greatest tools on the planet for me. This is how I decompress. Okay. So like throughout the day, as we struggle, like I will call one of my partners. My circle is very small. And we'll just say sarcastic stuff about the problems that are happening and laugh. And that instantly allows me to get back into gratitude. And when laughing is the greatest medicines on the planet. And if you can laugh at something that's bothering you and hindering you, you can see it in a different way. And then you can go, it's really not that big of a deal. Right. So the whining and complaining, I agree with you, Easy. It's not weak. It's necessary, except for you can't let it be the end. Right. It can't be the end point, and then you just keep going. Right. We got to get to the gratitude after that. We got to get to the foundation. We got to get to the positivity part so we can fight these days. Because then you're going to wake up that day, and guess what's going to happen? More stuff.
Well, and that's key. And no matter what there is, I love this because it highlights something that I've always stated. They say when God closes a door, he opens a window.
Yeah.
But they never tell you have to go through the window. If they spent more time telling us that we had to go through the window and what we're supposed to do when we're through that window, we would be a happier society. We just think that the opportunity is just going to be there. You still have to take the opportunity. And, language is important. Take the opportunity. It is yours. Move forward.
Yeah. And there's a really effective tool, compartmentalization, that I use on a daily basis. Like, so let's say I have something going on in my personal life. Well, I can't take that out in the field with me because it might affect my ability to help some family save $1,000 that year on their electric bill, and that might be the difference between groceries, diapers, whatever it is. Right? I know again these things sound cliche, but they're real.
Right?
They are real, and my brain is always like, well, I got to make sure I'm at my best so I can do my best for other people because that's my job, right? My job is not to sell things. My job is to help people, right? So this is something I, talk to my guys about. And one thing I try to do, like I did the other day with my team, is instead of standing up in front of the room and talking to them while they're sitting down, I sat down in my chair and had a conversation with them so we were all on the same level playing field. Because I always want my people to know, guys, I don't preach to you from a level of like, I'm above you and I have it figured out. I preach to you from a level of we're all in this together and I'm fighting the same fight with you. And I'm just a little bit ahead of you maybe in one or two things because I've been working on it longer and I want to be able to share it with you. And you may say something that helps me, right? I'm always listening to my people and things around me to try to pick up new things that can help me, right? But I think it's really important, like as leaders, I try to be a servant leader and lead from the front, but also be a human and have my people see me as a person and talk about, like, sometimes I'll talk to them and tell them like, hey man, I've been struggling with my mental health lately.
Right.
Most leaders won't say that. They'll come in and be full of crap and they'll just, go up there and pretend like, they got everything figured out. But when you know that your leader doesn't have everything figured out, but he'll figure it out with you, you're going to feel a lot more comfortable going to that person and we're all going to learn from each other. Right. So, that's why, Trinity's a special place. It's grown me as a human being. And I've learned a lot of effective things there. And, the gratitude life is something that I deploy with my team. My team supports it. So it always feels good when your people support you, and make videos or ask for shirts and hats. Right. That means we're all working together on a common goal. So, this was just born out of all of those things and this journey over the last, 17 years. The gratitude life is something that I believe in. I think that it helps people. I know that it helps me. And I think that if I can just get the message out there and get more people to, do this exercise in the morning, then maybe we can have an impact on the world. And it may sound crazy or whatever, but when I talked to my cousin who's really successful, he has his own clothing line. He knows a lot of, celebrities. And he said, look, that, your brand is going to be a little bit tough, man. I'm just going to tell you, because it's geared towards a very certain group of people. And I said, and that's the problem, is it's not. It's geared for everybody. The problem is only a certain group of people are actually doing it. And so if I've selected something hard to take on, that sounds just about right for my life anyways. So I'm going to do it, and I'm going to give it my all, and I'm never going to quit. And I don't care how long it takes before this becomes a brand and you go out in public and you see these shirts everywhere and hats everywhere. And it evolves into something that takes on its own shape. And then we're able to take that money and put it back into, mental health services, addiction services, recovery centers, whatever it is, to deploy the funds into the proper places, because they don't get enough funding, they don't get enough support. Because some people think that they're just bad choices. People just make bad choices. People just make bad choices. Like, yeah, well, there's an underlying reason for these choices. There's a mental health thing buried beneath these choices. I know mine was just a lot of bad mental health, and a lot of, I didn't believe in myself. I talked down to myself. Whatever it is that we have from our childhoods or whatever it is, right? But in the end, we're adults now, and we're responsible for changing those narratives, right?
Speaking of changing the narrative, without giving too much detail, because this is just strictly a question for James. How do you start your day? What's your morning routine?
Yeah, so I usually get up. I've taken a long journey at working on my mental health and being where I am mentally, and I'm in a good place. I'm still working on it.
Of course.
Physical health, not as much.
Okay.
So I'm going to add some, a new thing to that. But my day starts usually around 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. I wake up and I call, those are, for me, those are God's grace hours. I can hear the silence, right? There's no cars, there's no people, there's nothing really going on, which allows me to have my conversation. And again, I don't know anybody's personal beliefs that's watching this. Those are none of my business. But my conversation with Christ in the morning, and having that monologue go back and forth, and making sure that that I can hear, even though I hear it in my voice, right? I'm talking to myself, having that conversation at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, like, hey man, we don't feel great today. Why don't we feel great today? We got to do a better job at physical health. I just started Merit Health, taking supplements and vitamin program that they put together for me that was based off my blood work to try to help with that. Next, I'm going to, if I'm going to get up at 4:30 in the morning, instead of sitting and watching TV or sitting in silence for the whole time and drinking coffee, I'm going to go to the gym for that hour.
Right.
Because I can, and then I can still sit in the grace at the gym. So that's the next step. I don't do New Year's resolutions. I don't believe in stuff like that. Okay. Right. Like I'm working on, that's my biggest hurdle in life right now is physical health. I'm lazy by nature. I can take on mental discomfort with no problem. I find it funny. Like, I think it's hysterical. Like, it doesn't bother me at all when something's uncomfortable with people mentally or like in an environment, but my physical, I find extremely uncomfortable to, like, I just don't want to get off the couch. I don't want to put it in. So, I get up early in the morning. I go through my mental checklist. I whine, right? I complain. I get all of it out. And then I divert that chemical away, and I consciously start going through a checklist of the things that I'm grateful for, my goals for the year, my why, and I go through those things, and I think of the journey that we've had so far and where I want that journey to go. And then by the time it's time to get in the field and get to work, by the time my daughter wakes up and my wife gets up, I'm in the gratitude life, and I'm ready to go, and I'm ready to take on the day. And that's the process that I go through every single day. Because it's the only way that I can take on a very challenging position in the industry that I'm in, which is not an easy position mentally. So you have to be mentally fit. And the next thing is, getting, physically fit. And I'm not doing it for looks. I'm doing it, so I feel better. Yeah. But I do that process.
You're doing it for the next 10 to 15 years from now. You're doing it for the next 20 years from now. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. I mean, I got somebody, a 3-year-old that relies on me now. And, some of the days she's like, hey, daddy, can you play? And I'm like, yeah, bring it over here. She's like, no, on the floor. And I hear God, when she's saying this to me, say,
Oh.
you can't get on the floor, right? Yeah. You need to be able to be. Your 3-year-old is much more connected to the source because she's only 3 years removed from coming out of we don't know where, right?
Yeah, true.
And so she's much farther connected to the source than we are as we get eroded from the source at 44 years old, right? So a lot of the times when she's saying things to me, right, she'll say, hey, put your phone down.
Right.
I think I'm paying attention to her because I'm using the phone, but I'm also playing. But she's like, no, I want you to put the phone down. God's telling me, hey, you're not paying attention to her. You think you are,
right?
But she's telling you that you're not. She's 3. The simplest answers are the easiest ones. She just told you what the problem is. The problem is that you're not paying attention. The problem is that you can't get on the floor. How are you going to fix these things?
Right.
So I hear those messages, and I imperfectly work on them. Something that I try to do is imperfect action will always beat perfect inaction. So just consistently being imperfect. There's a lot of words written inside of other words. Imperfection has I'm perfection written in it. If you just add an apostrophe.
Woo! Knowledge on WNHHL 103.5 FM New Haven. And I'm imperfectly saying these station call letters right here on Preston and Easy Blues. James, you are giving out the knowledge and the gospel. I really do appreciate this. When is the podcast coming out? And is it going to be uncensored? Because I want an uncensored, unfiltered podcast from you, and I will be a passionately consistent listener. And
I appreciate it.
And if you want to have us as guests, I'll clear my schedule for you. I
mean, my wife said that to me the other day. She's like, "When are you going to do a podcast? You need to do a podcast. Just set the basement up for a podcast." And I'm like, I have so many things going on, and I'm trying to be, a good husband, which I'm working on all the time because I'm probably not the best husband all the time.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be the best father I can be. I'm probably not the best father all the time. And to add more things to my plate seems insurmountable, but it really comes down to, I think that my physical health and my ability to handle that is going to change my ability to do all these other things. We always joke among some of us is like, dude, in the sales and solar game, just for one perspective, I've been able to torch these guys. Imagine if I was physically fit and completely capable and in the best of myself, what would have happened or what would happen if I can beat them like this with ease. So I'm always thinking to myself, how much better can I be if I don't have to use my mentality to override my lack of physicality? Because every day I get really tired and I get burnt out, right? And that's why I have to, get up early and kind of redo the whole thing again. So, I'm going to work on that. But yeah, man, podcasts it could be in the future. I visit a lot of people's podcasts. I love coming to talk to you guys.
Of course.
But yeah, man, there's a lot of things that I want to do this year. But the most thing that I want to do this year is get the gratitude life out there and make as much impact as possible. Help as many people as possible.
Go ahead, Easy.
Just want to put it out there. Just a thing for your social media.
Yeah.
Just 365 days of gratitude is every day. You put a post up there of what someone was grateful for.
Yeah.
Type of aspect. You have that go, and that can become like a calendar type of aspect. But just take the calendar aspect and put it on social media, so you don't have to worry about investing into making calendars where you can literally just say, this is what today's point of gratitude is.
Yeah. Hey, everybody, you guys can follow. Everybody can follow me at james.gratitudelife on Instagram. I'm just getting that started.
Mm-hmm.
It's free to be grateful. It's free to follow me on Instagram. I'm looking for people that want to spread the message of gratitude. I have hats, I have shirts. I'll drop them off to you. I'll send them to you. I mean, I have people in all different parts of the country that I've sent them to. Really right now, it's just about the message. I just want to get the message out there. I'm not worried about what it costs. I will spend my money to make sure that I get this to as many sectors as possible. I don't think that this is just a Gary V crowd thing or, these 7 certain, crowds. I think this is something that can help everybody. I see it on a day-to-day basis in that dad's group. I see it all the time on social media. A lot of people are struggling. I struggle. We all struggle. but we can struggle and strive, and it could be a beautiful struggle if we can be grateful, right?
I definitely get the aura of Gary Vee from you. I definitely get that. I get the aura of Tony Robbins from you. You know what I mean? I get that great aura that gets people to stand up. And, you know, maybe you don't need the podcast because every day you're giving out this free game and these free knowledge to the people who need it. I remember when I was at Trinity Solar one day, and then I heard you have a little like a motivational meeting next door. It felt the crowd felt rumbling, I almost felt the walls shake with just your voice alone, and it was crazy. And I think you only had about like 10 people in the room, and just for them getting motivated and amped up to start their day. I mean, you were really passionate, really powerful. So I think every day is a podcast too. I think every day you're being motivational, and I see why you don't have the time because it's just second nature to you. It really is.
I mean, I bare my soul at every sales appointment, every sales meeting, every interaction. I leave everything I have on the field every day. There's not a day that I, half do it. I don't know how to do that.
Right.
It's a blessing and a curse. Some days it burns the candle at both ends. But then in the end, I also look at it and I go, well, if I burnt my candle at both ends, but I made an impact, then we can get more wax and we can reset. We can figure it out.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. And I love the fact that, P, you just dropped like the new talking about merch. I think the Preston and Easy Blues shirt that says Preston and Easy Blues every day is a podcast.
Love it. Send me one.
Right. I think it works.
I think
it works.
It does.
I think
man, every day is a podcast, man. Like we're out there that, they can do a podcast for an hour, but I got 20, I got 15 other hours.
Yeah.
We're out in the community. And I'm sure you guys do this. I mean, you guys have a podcast, so I'm sure people know who you guys are. So you guys, are celebrities by default, and you guys have the ability to make an impact on a day-to-day basis. Right. I mean, people know who you are. So when you're out in public and you're out places, the things that you guys say and do are impactful. I've known Preston for
I appreciate this.
A long time. I'll give this to Preston. I just met Easy, but Preston was at broadcasting school with me, and he said he was going to do this and he was going to do broadcasting. And he stuck it out and he did what he said he was going to do. I love people that do things that they say they're going to do. It's one of my favorite things is you say you're going to do something, you go do it. When I was a drug addict, I never did anything I said I was going to do. And I quickly learned that everything I was doing then, all I had to do is the opposite and my life would change. And here we are today. My life is different. Right. So now when I say I'm doing something, I'm doing it. You can take it to the bank. I don't care how long it takes. I don't lose. I win or learn. I take on blessings, right? BLESSONS. Everything is a blessing. There's a lesson inside of each blessing. And, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and they're both blessings as long as you can see them. Right. It just comes down to being, hey, I'm grateful that I can learn today. I'm grateful that I failed today. I'm grateful that, this thing happened. Like, Jocko Willink, he says something goes wrong. Good. Just say good and fight through it. Right. And one of his guys walked up and said, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say good. And he said, that's right. It's good.
I can't say good because I got to wrap this up soon. It's been a great conversation. It's been very inspiring. Thank you for those kind words. We really do appreciate it. And if you have any information or any positive information left for someone who wants to go to a similar path as yours or someone who is not right mentally, please go right ahead. And also, just to add a little tidbit, because these last few minutes are going to be given to you, James. Shamelessly plug again. Shamelessly plug Trinity Solar and shamelessly plug your future and your social media. This time is yours. Go right ahead.
Yeah, James.Gratitude Life. Man, I'll even put this out there. If you're struggling, message me. Send me a message. I'll get in the fight with you.
Word.
Let's start helping each other. There's too much texting going on, too many words being written inside of text messages, and we're not really helping each other. If you need help, James.Gratitude Life, James Volosin Jr. on Facebook, friend me, reach out to me. I will absolutely talk to you. I will absolutely. I've been, just like Easy said, I've been to every dark corner and dark place you can imagine. I've slept underneath the rock at rock bottom. Gratitude Life is all about laying a foundation of gratitude, helping us fly to the places that we belong. And everybody can get there. There's nothing special about me other than I didn't quit. I didn't give up. I'm grateful every day. I fight for it every day. Follow me on those social media things, but more importantly, reach out to me and I'll help you. Because when I help you, I help me. And that spreads the gratitude life across, all platforms and throughout life. And that's really what this is about. I appreciate both of you guys. It says a lot about both of you. When I say, hey man, this is what I'm doing and this is what I'm trying to do. And instantly you're like, I'll help you next week. We need more people like you. You guys are the carriers of message.
That's right.
So you guys doing amazing work. And I'm grateful for you. That's what I'll leave you guys with. My gratitude life today is for this podcast and for you guys. And the instant jump to help. Like, hey man, can I drop shirts off to you? Sure. Drop them off tomorrow. Hey man, can I be on the podcast? Yeah, man, you can be on the podcast in 5 minutes. No hesitation whatsoever. Just trying to be helpful. So, I salute you guys and I hope that your podcast grows this year in 2025. And if there's anything I could do to help, you guys got gear, anything I can do for you guys, tell me and I will do it because you guys have been there for me a couple of times already. And I'm sure we'll have plenty more conversations going throughout the coming years. But today, the gratitude life is I'm grateful for you guys.
James, we appreciate you. WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself, Preston, and my partner in crime, Long Island raised, Elm City made, Mr. EZ BlueZ. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Gratitude life.
Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you.
Wondering what to write about, trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist, am I worth anything or just discount? I don't know.